Dear friends, welcome to this new video. I'll add some content to the many videos I see online regarding comparison of aircrafts, and in this particular case which called my attention, I'll be talking about the TBM 960, the French-made TBM Dyer, and the Swiss-made Pilatus 12 NGX. And I hope you enjoy this video. It'll be a bit technical at times, but don't forget to like and subscribe my videos. As you know, I told in the beginning that I'll be using my trophies, my gadgets, and yeah, I have the Lucky Delector. That's in my collection. And if you notice on the slide opening, I put a picture of the Lucky Delector. This is the aircraft. This is in a museum in Brazil. The one that I first flew as captain. Not because of me, of course, but because of its historical aircraft. And why this aircraft? Because the comparisons, or the lack of, held this aircraft for a long time in the services between Rio and Sao Paulo city airports, because there was no aircraft to be compared of, because the service that it was rendering and was unique, and that was the only aircraft for that particular task at that time. Beforehand, I should say both aircraft are very good, fantastic. I would love to fly them, envy who flies them, but not the case for me. And the comparisons put them in the same category of aircraft, and I don't think it's quite correct, although they are single-engine turboprop, and to me that's about all. Similarities end there. Let's put this way, the TBM is more like a sports car, and it's for private use, maybe a small air service, charter flights to fly somebody from quickly, like an executive or a doctor that needs to move around quickly from one place to another, and at small airports and distance or remote places. While the Pilatus is more like a commercial aircraft, larger, carry more passengers and more cargo, and passengers and cargo together. So it can be used as an air service between some places, remote places with no much traffic. And some airlines, some entrepreneurs are doing exactly that. The previous aircraft from Pilatus was the Pilatus Porter, was used extensively doing that type of service. I've seen them in use when I went to teach flight operations management in an oil company in the middle of the Sahara in Algeria. And in there I saw this aircraft flying between the base, the main base in Hassi Massoud, to the oil drilling stations, carrying people and supplies to these remote places in the desert. And to me, the Pilatus can do the same. Both aircraft are land anywhere aircraft. I had a look to both company websites looking for the specs and performance of these aircrafts, and from there I extrapolate what my comments are in here. Their presentation of the product is different, but anyway I managed to get quite a few interesting things out of this single files that they have, presentation page of performance and specs. And obviously, if you're gonna buy an aircraft, you're not looking into my video or somebody else's video presenting the aircraft. You see that the aircraft is good. You may be interested in knowing what I have to say, what the people presenting the videos do. And but obviously you go to the company and we'll have engineers and performance test flights and demonstrations and so forth. I've seen these videos many times because I like the aircraft and I like the videos as well. So let's get on to it. Those are the sites. These two sites are the sites of the company. At the first glance, you look at both aircraft, the comparison makes sense. But as you know, the capacity is different. One carries one pilot plus 5 passengers, so 6 people in total. The other one's 2 pilots plus 8 people. That's 10 persons on board with the cargo as well. So bigger capacity means bigger volume, bigger payload, means bigger engine, makes bigger everything, and they go to the same place, land anywhere, and you can use the aircraft for flight services. As I told you, on the Pilatus is very much what people do with this aircraft. Heavier aircraft requires more fuel, and more weight requires a different engine. So they have both a different engine. The TBM has a Pratt & Whitney Canada PT6E66XT, while the Pilatus have a same manufacturer, which is the king of manufacturer of turboprops, Pratt & Whitney Canada, but it's a PT6E67XT, and both are digitally controlled, all the electronic computerized control of the engine. So, and the engine has a long life, and they are very economical in the sense of aircraft wise. As what counts for performance to achieve success in a mission is the weight you carry. So the volume of fuel, such and such US gallons or liters, is relevant when you pay for the fuel, because you pay such amount per gallon or per liter. But you have to transform this volume in weight. Fuel is lighter than water, so when calculating the density, it's 0.8 of the compared with the water. So 1 liter is not a kilo, is 800 grams more or less. And I use this density 0.8 as an average to make my calculations here, because it varies, the density varies with the temperature and the production of the fuel. So when you're gonna refuel the aircraft, the supplier take a measurement what the density of the fuel is, and pass this on to the flight dispatchers and to the pilots, so they can calculate the weight they are carrying. Because also the instrumentation of the aircraft, the instruments, measure by kilos burned and not by liters burned. So the fuel flow instrument is like on the 777, says 3,000 kilos per hour per engine when you're flying in cruise, like the 767, 2,800, things like this, but kilos. So the comparison, everything else is in kilos on the performance of the aircraft, because that's the basic of the metric system, which most of the countries and the nations use. So 1 liter is 0.1 cubic meter of water, and this is the basis of the metric system. And the fuel here costs 1 liter costs $1.014 based on this price. This value was obtained as an average in February 2023. As I said, more volume, more weight can be carried on the aircraft, and there's a trade between what you can carry and what, because the aircraft has a maximum takeoff weight. So you increase the weight of fuel you carry, you lower the load you can carry. So there's a trade-off between these two to achieve a mission. So hardly you see an aircraft that can carry maximum fuel and maximum takeoff weight and maximum everything and then achieve a mission. Maybe military aircraft do. I don't know any. Anyway, military aircraft have fuel refuel in flight and so on. So not this case. As the load varies, the volume of fuel varies, so varies the range you can achieve. However, note that the speed to reach a destination or a place must be the most economical to have the fuel. You don't fly maximum power all the time, so you fly an economic power to achieve the maximum use of fuel, so it's not obviously flying maximum speed and everything, not environmentally friendly anyway. So the speed you use is a long-range cruise. Just to make sure that you've seen one of my videos, the navigator. Wow, that was what the first officer would say when I told them that I flew with a sextant and a navigator. And you can see this video, and the link is on the description of this video. So not everything on the aircraft is metric. So we use the geographical conventions and mathematics for navigation. And 1 nautical mile is 1 minute of arc on the circumference of the Earth of 360 degrees. Each degree is 60 minutes. So 60 times 1,805 meters is 1 degree on Earth, and 360 is the whole circumference of the Earth. So that's what we use for navigation. And speed, knots, 1 knot is 1 nautical mile per hour. So I calculated a mission, typical mission, 350 nautical miles with both aircraft to make the costs of fuel. The reserve fuel that are there, mentioned, based on the ICAO regulations, it's not like this. No, you don't take an airplane and fly maximum that you want to go and end up there with just that fuel. So for one, you're not gonna carry everything you need. Second, there's a regulation. Obviously, if you carry fuel, you burn fuel to carry that fuel. So you don't want to carry that fuel. So you start doing the trade-off, as I mentioned, and use the rules that are ICAO based. Means you fly from A to B, arrive there in B, make a procedure, instrumental procedure to land, arrive at the field, land or go around. That fuel is part of it. Second part is you didn't go around, you didn't manage to land, you go to C and arrive in C, which is your alternate. In alternate, you have to have fuel enough to fly there, arrive there and wait to land, your turn, for half an hour over the field, flying at 1,500 feet. for half an hour. And this half an hour applies to turbine powered engines. In this case, the aircraft are turboprops, applies to them. It's not the piston reciprocating engine, which are the piston engine of all times, which 45 minutes was at the time. Don't remember quite right now. But and you add a contingency fuel, which is 5% or 5 minutes, whichever is greatest, from the A to B. This is one of the rules. This is the most used rule because that's what you do. I also made the assumption that when you take off, climb, you're gonna burn a lot of fuel because you're using a lot of power to move this mass to a certain flight level. And during cruise, you stabilize and prepare the aircraft for the higher speed, you use proper pitch of the propeller, and you're gonna fly at a higher speed. As the density of the air is less, when you climb, you fly faster, ground-wise. If you look at the speeds that we measure on the aircraft, there is three basic ones. The speed indicated, the instrument indicates a certain speed. That speed is transformed based on temperature and the altitude you have in air speed. And that air speed added with wind and so on is the ground speed you had over ground. And to navigate, what counts is the ground speed. For performance is the airspeed. And the other one is the one you based everything on, the indicated speed, where you fly and keep the airplane in the air. So you climb, burns a lot of fuel, cruise, stabilize, and then when you descend in idle power. You reduce most of the thrust and comes downhill. And so this, I compensated what you're burning on climbing with descent, and I achieved this number. It was quite right, because later on I found a publication, another publication says that the TBM, for instance, burns 57 gallons per hour. I reached on my extrapolation 57.9, and I used the same criteria for the Pilatus, so the calculations are quite correct. As maximum speed are never flown in cruise. You never fly the maximum speed of the aircraft all the time, so you fly a certain speed. If you're descending idle power, you can achieve that speed and maintain that speed. That makes sense. Not in cruise, not in climb. You'll never achieve. It's not wise to fly that speed all the time. Imagine if you drive your car and you have your feet on the pedal, the maximum, and so you burn your engine and your fuel quite quickly. And the same applies to the aircraft. The less you use maximum power, the more the engine lives. And this is another story regarding the performance and how the engine works. So these are the regulations that I mentioned, the ICAO regulations. I mentioned one of the regulations, the most used, but there are others that refers that if you have to have an airport alternate for takeoff, or more than one alternate at your destination, or you're going to a faraway island that has only that airport and you have to land there. What happens if you reach that destination, you cannot land? So you cannot come back because you won't have enough fuel to do that. So you have to have another set of rules for each situation, which is in this related in this regulation here. The contingency fuel, the 5% or 5 minutes from A to B, is a fuel that you put in addition in case you fly into a destination, you enter stronger headwinds or have to do weather deviation, or your airplane is underperformed because the weight was not correctly calculated or aircraft is not well balanced. So that contingency fuel is to take account for that. I randomly choose some destinations in Europe based the circle in Basel, Central Europe. The red circle is the TBM and the yellow circle is the Pilatus. So those are maximum distance declared that the airplane can fly. This one are what are the destinations I mentioned? Those are the codes. ZRH is Zurich, for instance. ESL is Istanbul, Faroe Islands, or Keflavik in Iceland. So you can cross the Atlantic with this aircraft, although it's not the best option, because this is not an aircraft built to cross the ocean. It's built to fly anywhere in continental Europe, maybe in Africa, going to Asia, wherever there's land and an airport nearby. In the middle of the ocean is not quite okay for both aircraft. Although you can go there. If I'm a private pilot, I want to go take my TBM to America and to South America and fly, I go. Same way I did for Europe, I did for US. I centered in Dallas because middle of everything there. Actually, one of the airports is Edison. Edison is one of the local general aviation in Dallas. You won't be flying with this aircraft from major airport to major airport. You fly for smaller airports or where general aviation flies, and it's more simple for everyone flying this way. So Edison is one. So this is the map, the circle, red circle for the TBM, the yellow circle for the Pilatus in US. You can go anywhere with this aircraft. And if you see the codes, ADS is Edison, TOA is Torres in California, Las Vegas, San Francisco, and those are the airports, or Fort Lauderdale in Florida. That's the airports I listed. Safety is important. Both aircraft are extremely safe. The accidents reported I found here are different measures, and cannot be compared. General aviation, the category these two aircraft fall in, are more prone for mishaps as an airliner, so it's also not comparable. Mishap, all the indexes here can be I land and have a flat tire, and I go off the runway and remain there stuck and with some damage on the wheel. That's a mishap. It goes on that index over there. So nothing there is comparable. I cannot compare apples to potatoes. At the end of this video, I would tell a story about the replacement of the Lockheed Electra in the service between the downtown airports, the city airports, São Paulo and Rio. In 1986, Princess Royal Anne was touring in South America and went to Brazil as an ambassador of the British Aerospace with a BA 146. And they went to Rio to make demonstrations of the flights in the city airport of Santos Dumont, which has a runway long as 1,100 meters, and that's where the Lockheed Electra was operating. And many people were invited, people from the company, the potential buyers, and everybody like that sort. But one gentleman was excluded because of royal protocol or something like that. He was excluded. He was the most important person to be there. He was the certifier of the aircraft to operate in the Santos Dumont.
So talking to him at the time, he said, you know when this airplane will be certified to operate here? Never. He never did. That's what happened back in '86. Hope you enjoyed this flight, this video. And if you have any comments, you may comment down below. I accept comentários em português, em espanhol, em italiano. And fly safe, be safe. Bye. Thank you.